Evaluation and assessment is a really important part of public engagement, and it's one of the hardest things to do, right? Many times because of that, we measure activity and not impact. And that's the thing I say all the time is we do a lot with activity. We count the number of students who come to our summer camp or participants in our science fair, but it's much harder to know if our junior high summer campers major in STEM when they get to college, if they go on to the STEM workforce, if they understand science better. That takes resources that researchers and institutions don't really have, that long-term tracking to get to impact. Individuals and institutions have done great numerical counts of participants, tracked the number of patents and licenses, even conducted economic impact studies, and all of those are important metrics to be sure, and I recommend exploring some of those. They can be actually really helpful. Something else that I've seen is the use of impact case studies. Byron mentioned that earlier. He talked about our great colleagues at University of Missouri St. Louis. They use these impact studies for something called the UK's Research Excellence Framework. And if some of my colleagues are there, they may be rolling their eyes and groaning because there's some thoughts about the ref. But in this respect, the case studies are really interesting because they make universities and researchers think about what is going to be the impact of that research long term and actually write up a case study around it. I've been fortunate to look at some of these case studies and they're actually really interesting. So I think that's something else universities can think about taking as a first step. I think one of the things that need to happen is the idea of high-level organizational strategies for measuring impact. I like to think about legislation and history and things. And so if you go back to the America Competes Reauthorization Act of 2010, and the subsequent National Science Board report that came out around merit review. Both of them mention that doing evaluation at the individual project level may not be useful, but it would be really great if we could aggregate that data and really tell the story of impact. It's something that someone who works in broader impacts, I would love for there to be a way for the NSF to tell the story of all the Americans who have benefited from broader impacts programming. From things you watch on PBS to summer camps and other things, right? But we don't have a way to do that. No one has figured that out yet.